Descent is the final installment of the Exos Zombies saga. How did it turn out? Did they fix anything wrong with the previous 3 maps? Was there any saving Exo Zombies? Let's find out. So at the end of Carrier, we saw Oz as a zombie, and in the intro to Descent, we see him wrecking havoc on basically everything. And finally, for the first time in Exo Zombies, we see a creative setting. Thank God, this map basically almost entirely takes place underwater, which is lovely. And you can tell you are underwater too. It's not just some gray box. So much of the map has glass windows or artwork relating to the ocean. Not like Carrier where, yeah, you're on a ship, but you can only see the ocean in one small portion of the map. I seriously wish Treyarch did something like this, a truly underwater map. It really gets the imagination going. Something like Leviathan and BO3 Customs is a godsend. I love it. But, oh man, am I gonna like Exo Zombies? Oh no! Descent starts off in a pretty basic starting room, but again, the atmosphere really makes it special. Imagine if this was just some field or something. The crashing waves make it really cool and the violent storm going on in the background. Then the first door you open is down this long elevator shaft. This is great because it's the first time in Exo Zombies that you have fallen this far down. Not only in general, but with an exosuit. So the nerves of not being sure if you will die or not from fall damage take over. I think that's pretty cool and already sets a precedent that this map is different. Most of these areas are pretty cool and have a great aesthetic. I think something that could have been added was even more glass walls showing the underwater portion. Like the spa, for example, there's this huge empty wall that could have very easily been a glass window looking out into the water. But for the most part, it's pretty cool and convincing. The lounge especially is my favorite. I love when you see all the sea animals going by, especially manta rays. Ooh, I love manta rays. The positives continue with the weapons in the mystery box. Over the last few maps, there have been a few weapons added in each of the maps, but I think the crown jewel is the blunderbuss. This thing is amazing. It's so satisfying to use. It's a wonder weapon in itself, so you actually have a variety of weapons to use each game and have a higher chance of getting them. In Outbreak, you really just had the Cell 3 cauterizer and maybe something like the S12. But in Infection, they added the Ohm, then in Carrier, there was the M1 Irons, and in Descent, you have all of those options on top of the Trident Wonder Weapon, which is so goofy. I'm glad they kept the streak of goofy wonder weapons, and it wasn't just a Carrier-only thing. It also makes a goofy sound, which is the cherry on top. Descent isn't all sunshine and rainbows, though, and while I think it is better than the rest of Exos, the Easter egg isn't perfect either. It continues the trend of needlessly stretching out the runtime of the quest, as well as having a continuous back and forth ping-ponging on the enjoyment of the quest. Basically, the steps flip-flop and are either really fun or downright miserable/tedious. It starts with a tedious step of laboriously shooting 3 wheels to turn on the lights. This takes so much ammo you would think it's bugged half the time. But it's also followed by a fun step, which is taking a Goliath underwater. That's right, you are breaking out of the map into the ocean. I love when video games do this, letting you see what's just beyond the veil. It stretches your imagination and makes you wonder what else is out there. But back to laborious tedium is the drone challenge. This isn't the hardest thing in the world either, but dear lord, it is infuriating when you are laying everything you have into a drone and it just doesn't break, especially if it's the last one. Then you have to flip the round, which just makes my eyes roll into the back of my skull. This is because in Exo Zombies fashion, Descent makes you start the Easter egg really late. Like round 9 is when at the earliest you can get a Goliath. This is also followed up by the worst Easter egg step in the map, close to the worst in the franchise, which is letting an EMZ hit you on purpose. This step is not only bad because you have to engage with the worst mechanic in the COD Zombies franchise, but also let that mechanic run at you for multiple rounds. Nearly 10 sometimes if you are not on top of it. This takes a ton of rounds, and thank God for the dog rounds, or I might just drown myself. But you are rewarded with probably my two favorite steps, the infinite grenade round and the jumping puzzle. The infinite grenade round is just as fun as it sounds, especially with contact grenades. Just yeeting everything around probably is the most fun you can have in the Exos Zombies mode. The jumping puzzle is fun too, and some of these are both challenging and pretty long, so on the ones that take you really far out, you can look back at where you started and get that feeling of breaking the map again. I absolutely love it. We are then followed by a negative with the move challenge. It's not bad per se, it's just pointless. Like, I get what they were going for, and trust me, if this was any other Zombies mode, I think it would actually be pretty great, but forcing you to camp. But this is Exo Zombies, and camping is straight up impossible. Then you need to do a round of Simon Says, which was last seen in Moon. So pretty cool and nostalgic. I like the use of the environment instead of 4 random screens. It actually is 4 check-in computers, which makes total sense as this takes place in like a mall hotel thing. I love it. Next is a stupid step of the friendly fire challenge. On co-op it's not bad, but on solo, for some reason, 3 AI quote-unquote teammates spawn in and try to kill you. I'm getting carrier flashbacks as we speak. It's only for 1 round, and it's not part of the main gameplay though. Deep breaths. Next is the number board puzzle, and I get what they were going for, but dude, this is such an annoying step. Like, dear lord, if you are not completely on top of the ball here, you can let it get so out of hand, and it's such a headache, especially if you have Exo Zombie slam hits nailed, and then you accidentally slam again. It makes my heart break. It's such a headache to keep track of. Finally, we have a fun challenge. That's if you're in the right spot, that is. And that is the rocket challenge, which is the whole round with a rocket launcher. I think I would actually enjoy this challenge a whole lot more if it did less self-damage, or PhD existed, or the EMZs just didn't straight up exist. Finally, we are at the end of the Exo Zombies saga, and it's of course the cliche, it all ends where it began trope. Like, yeah, it's a cool-ish, but man, a final form of Oz would have been so much cooler considering there are mandatory Oz boss fights in the game. Let's talk about those boss fights, shall we? Every few rounds you are forced into a boss fight arena. Each time you are teleported, the fight gets a bit more complex. The first time is just introducing the arena, the second time is fighting Oz up in the DJ booths, showing the mechanics a little bit more in detail, and finally you have a giant real boss fight, which I can't fucking believe in Exo Zombies DLC 4 was the first time we have ever seen a boss fight in Zombies. Like, who would have thought? So, on the first time playthrough or a casual run, this boss fight sequence is actually pretty fun. It's a nice surprise, and I don't think many people expected it, but if you are doing a repeat run or an Easter egg attempt, this can be so annoying to be forced into. Like, let's say, for example, you're doing the EMZ step. You have some pretty decent progress, but then boom, teleported, and the round you were just getting confident in is gone, reduced to dust. Or if you are trying to speedrun a high round, then this grinds your pace to a screeching halt. So it's fun sometimes, but other times it's a chore and stops you in your tracks. It's not even challenging, you don't even get points for zombie kills either, but it is a pleasant surprise nonetheless. Something I mentioned earlier is the Goliath suit. I think this is a great addition to that level of fun that was sorely needed in this mode. The Goliath is such a badass addition, and it's kind of weird that we have never seen anything like this in Zombies ever again. Speaking of Goliaths, the Goliath boss zombie is gone! Woohoo! I think this is also the point where Zombies is peak ADHD. There are so many types of zombies, and they can combine and have different elements. It's nearly impossible to keep track of. There can be like 4 variations of each zombie. Like a teleporting zombie can also be a poison zombie or a spiky zombie or whatever. And there's not even a point of paying attention anymore. Previous zombies experiences were all about handling a horde consistently, and if there was a greater threat like the Panzers, Brutus, George Romero, whatever, then your attention is called to it and you can focus on those 2 things at once. In Exos Zombies, it's basically a dice roll as to what kind of threats are in your giant pile of jetpack-induced Mountain Dew G Fuel zombies. EMZs are still in this goddamn mode, so I automatically slash the score. Some bonuses though are the trophy case. This is basically an in-game way of showing off your achievements. I wish there was more to this other than the trophy case, like some sort of super Easter egg reward, but I guess it's a way to show Reddit that you suck at video games. There are some additional achievements too and alternate endings to the older Easter eggs. Like in Outbreak, you can actually get picked up in the Warbird. Not so much in the other maps though, they were too lazy for that I guess, but it's a neat little something for those that want to go the extra mile. Same with the double feature mode, which is a fun little challenge as well. So, Descent added a lot of positives to finish off Exo Zombies. Not that that was a difficult triumph in the first place, but Descent finally reached the bar of what I somewhat expected from Exo Zombies in the first place, and it's a shame that this is how it ended, not how it began. I'm giving Descent a 5.8 out of 10 D tier. That's it from Exo Zombies. I will see you in Black Ops 3.